So good afternoon for those that are connected today and for those that will see the recording afterwards. This is the first Web3 Tuesdays of the next season. So we're starting again after the summer break, and we're starting with an awesome guest, Marco, who's discussing DAO governance. Well, in general, I'd say that the discussion is about decentralized governance, so over and beyond DAOs. And Marco is currently at PolygonLabs, but he's long-standing, very experienced person in the IT world in general and in the DAO sphere more specifically. He has worked for a number of DAOs. I guess that he'll tell us a little bit about that as well, maybe if we have time, I don't know. And in particular, he was with Marco, I lost it. I'm sorry.
No problem. Well, mostly I was in the core team of Bankless DAO Forefront, and I launched a Polygon DAO and another couple of DAOs.
That's amazing. I'm sorry about that. And so without further ado, we can kick off the discussion. Marco prepared a presentation for us, and so we'll have around 20 minutes of the presentation. And then we will open the floor for questions. So if you have any questions, you can either write that down in the chat or wait for the end and ask the questions yourself. So you can unmute and ask the questions. So Marco, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Filippo. So, hi everyone. Thank you for being here and listening to this small speech about decentralized governance. As Filippo was saying, it is the title is DAO governance, but actually more and more we should talk about decentralized governance. DAOs are, we will discuss a little bit of what is a DAO, but right now, many big organizations, entities, and so on are taking the path of decentralization without becoming a DAO itself. For example, Polygon is doing this, and I will explain you how Polygon is doing it. But then, while we will see a lot of DAOs around, there is not an equivalence between DAO and the decentralized organization. And it is not just for the autonomous part, but it's more on how the organization are built and structured. So, what is a DAO, first of all? Also, I would like to, I will present you a few slides just to introduce the topic, to give you some material, but of course, what we wanted to do is especially to have a chat about it, to reply to questions, but also to engage in a conversation. What is a DAO? Well, DAO has become a very generic term. There are many organizations that are called DAOs right now. And the kind of organization that are called DAO could be very different one from the other. So we have to find at least a pattern to say what is a DAO. In my slide is the last part, but actually should be the first one. And it is a DAO, should be on chain, should be on the blockchain. Most of the DAOs are not on chain, either because they are using just off-chain governance or maybe hybrid methods. But I would say that we can call DAOs the organization that are aiming to decentralize. So the ones that we can say that are in a progressive decentralization journey, including, trying to implement more smart contracts, trying to implement on-chain governance, at least for the main decision that the organization will have to start. Besides being on-chain, we need the DAO, we need the organization to express a governance, to coordinate, and to share ownership. If we use these three concepts, actually, we can talk also about, many different organizations, could be also a family. But of course, the DAO is something else. And it is problematic that there is not a unique way to express what a DAO is, because beside the very absolutistic way to define a DAO right now, it's difficult. The DAO is difficult to be defined also because we are witnessing many different DAOs over time. We can say that right now we see the rise of the fourth generation of DAOs. The first one, of course, was the DAO with the DAO hack that led to Ethereum, to the Ethereum the hard fork of Ethereum, and then we could see the rise of Moloch, Compound, and many other protocol and investment DAOs. Those protocol investment DAOs are actually the closest one to the original DAO idea. Then we had the media and community DAOs with Bankless DAO, for example, as the one that I was talking about, or Constitution DAO. And now we are in another evolutionary step. It could be seen on one way or more communities that are trying to implement a new governance, more on-chain governance, but also more and more organization, businesses that are built using on-chain processes, using on-chain protocols, on-chain dApps in order to obtain more accountability, transparency, and so on what they do. But in order to, well, you know, it's kind of simple to say, I want to launch a DAO. There are many different launchers right now, frameworks that can be used. But before doing it, well, the focus should be on how the governance should be designed. Because when we use a launcher, when we use a framework, at the end, we're going to use something that is, well, good for everyone. Because there are not many launchers that can be linked to a precise use case. So what we should do in order to build a DAO, a decentralized organization, as we want, using the perfect governance for this organization? Well, first of all, we must understand the use case that we want to have in the organization. That could be, of course, multiple use cases. That it could be something related, if we are in the Web3 world, that could be a DeFi protocol, could be an NFT collection, could be a service DAO, could be an investment DAO, could be any kind of business that is trying to decentralize or to launch in a decentralized way. But then we have to do something that I can tell you that quite no one is doing when they're launching a DAO, and most of the time when they're launching also an off-chain organization, that is mapping the stakeholders. Mapping the stakeholders is very important, and it's something that in the on-chain world is becoming kind of simpler to do, because when you map the stakeholder and you are ready to assign them an equivocable way to recognize them and then to give them the chance to vote, to participate to the governance, you are able to understand better how every single one of the people that have interest in the organization should behave and will behave. Mapping of stakeholder, of course, can be on one side, starting from the core team, and then everyone, or maybe from the founder and the team that is owning the organization, and then the team, and then the immediate stakeholder could be the customer or the suppliers and so on, and expanding it to everyone that in some sort could be related to the organization. This exercise will take a lot of time, but it is the most important one when you are designing governance. Then you must be aware of the off-chain and on-chain available governance tool. You have to know which governance means you can use inside the organization and how they can be distributed and assigned. And then assign a governance role to all the stakeholders, depending on their area of interest and methods of participation. Going pretty fast, because I think that they are, well, very simple concepts anyway. So stakeholder mapping. Stakeholder mapping, well, allows to understand who has the power or influence in the organization and design effective governance and engagement strategies. Through mapping, we want to avoid to exclude some people or overlook on some people. And we have something that everyone is always discussing in DAOs and in the decentralized organization in Web3, that is about the community. Everyone thinks that the community should have at least something to say in the governance process of an organization. Well, it really depends. It really depends who is the community that we're talking about. If, of course, a community could be also the customer or the supplier of an organization, but it really depends if their point of view should be considered in any part of the governance process. For example, if we launch a DeFi protocol, knowing that the people that are not owners of the governance token, if you're going to use a governance token, could be the ones that will speculate, that will use the protocol, the DeFi protocol. But we want to get a chance to talk with them, to understand better how to evolve the protocol, to keep engaging with them, to, well, possibly to acquire new customers. Then, of course, we want them inside the governance process. Could be for something very small, could be just for addressing the changes that the protocol would like to meet, and not on the actual direction that the protocol should take. We are in Web3, and in Web3, community is very important. But at the end, the importance of the community should not become something that will kill the efficiency of the organization that we want to build. Because one of the main issues that we had with DAOs, especially on the third generation, was the fact that after the bull market, when the tokens actually went down, the idea was, why should I engage with people in this way if it is less efficient than doing it without it, given the fact that there is no value creation? This is the main problem of DAOs up to now. Most of the people are just engaging on creating big communities, big set of people that are interacting with one to each other without actually creating efficiency on what they do. Efficiency is always the key of an organization. An organization is not that is inefficient at the end will end its life, and there will be another organization growing instead of it. So the governance tool. Well, right now we are witnessing an ecosystem that is full of governance tools. There are the off-chain governance tools that could be a simple poll on Twitter, a poll on Discord, a forum poll. An off-chain forum poll could be on Discord or any other forum. We have hybrid tools such as Snapshot, and we have the on-chain ones. The decision on what to use is actually linked to the people that are part of the DAO itself. It depends on their on their skill, on their education of Web3, and also the cost of opportunity of actually participating to governance. If we're going to ask people to, I don't know, vote 10 times every week on something that is marginal, using their, I don't know, hardware wallet and paying for all the transaction, well, there will be a massive reduction of votes during over time. So maybe the governance of a DAO, as it was done many times, should be actually implemented on different tools depending on the importance of the matter. So usually, but this is something that is not actually used by everyone, but it is what could be witnessed in the past and in some DAOs right now. Some of the main community votes will go first on Discord or on the forum, and then there will be a middle step, maybe on Snapshot, and sometime for the ones where everyone wants to have an on-chain transaction, they will go on-chain. There are so many tools right now, and the on-chain tools are becoming more and more efficient. And this is actually something that could lead to think that in the future, all the decentralized organization will use more on-chain tools. Snapshot itself is evolving on a more on-chain voting and not just in hybrid mode. And then we go to where we should discuss about the means of governance. The means of governance, well, usually the DAO governance was based on fungible tokens. Depending on the number of tokens that you had more or less governance power than others. This is not exactly how DAOs were intended to build. Because at the end, we are just saying that we are treating tokens as shares, even if most of the DAOs are not treating them as shares. And giving more or less governance power to the people that are owning the tokens. The fact that this is a very limiting way to express governance, because there is no kind of recognition of the roles, there is no recognition of the identity, of the skills, so there is no recognition of the history and the reputation of everyone, for example, or any other on-chain claim that people could have. That's why more and more we are seeing DAOs experimenting with NFTs. We are seeing DAOs experimenting with something new that could be the ERC 6551 token-bound account, a kind of identity that is owning owning an NFT that is able to own other NFTs and fungible tokens, but at the end, it's like owning a profile in some sort. And when you own a profile, you create a layer of abstraction of your identity, and you can actually own a part of a DAO. You can become a member of a DAO, a member of a guild of whatever, using it, or with identity or with reputation. At the end, in my opinion, the most effective DAOs will be the ones that will be able to leverage on all the different means, differentiating the participation and also the kind of votes that the governance will ask, based on the kind of stakeholder. Of course, there will be votes where you will ask the shareholders, the token holders to vote. And sometimes you will ask people that are recognized because of their skills. Let's say we are thinking about a protocol that should do a technological update. Asking everyone to vote on it could be very problematic, because most of the people won't be even able to understand what they're asked. So using reputation and on-chain reputation claim, saying that the people that are good devs can participate to the vote, could be a good way to ask them to participate. But this is actually something that is still evolving over time. And this is more on the legal side, of course, but there is a need, or there will be more and more the need over time to see those organizations, to ask those organizations to be compliant. And in order to be compliant, well, people that are part of the DAO will have to maybe perform KYC and so on. And so the identity could also play a major role on the governance of those organizations. There are the governance challenges. Some of them are usual, some of them are maybe less usual. For example, if we start thinking about a very wide and inefficient governance as the one that usually the DAO are expressing, where you're asking people to vote for 1 week or 2 weeks on snapshot about something, well, there is no way that you could ever face a moment of crisis, because at the end, crises are very fast and should be immediately faced and resolved. That's why many are now evolving on a delegation, on a delegated or governance, or creating some new structure, could be committees of delegates that will be empowered just in moment of crisis. There is the apathy, the general apathy that we know that the DAO votes and voters are always suffering, but this is mostly related to the fact that DAOs tend to ask everyone to vote on anything and everything. The point is that asking the people 5 times every week to vote on how to change the color of your walls is not asking something that is meaningful. And that's why people are not interested to go on, because at the end, the people should be just asked to vote when it is needed, when it is necessary, and for everything else, it's just about some general guidelines on how the organization should react. The last part of the last problem is what I was talking about before, and it is the effectiveness and the efficiency of a DAO. Well, and it is part of what I was talking about right now. If we are able to move to a more to a concept of governance minimization, deciding which are the really important stuff where everyone, or at least part of the DAO, part of the decentralized organization, should be asked to vote on. Well, the amount of efficiency will increase, because at the end, most of the DAO and decentralized, or any kind of a decentralized organization process could proceed faster. I will give you an idea on how Polygon 2.0 governance will be. So Polygon 2.0 is the roadmap with which Polygon is evolving from where we are now to what we want to become. Polygon, as many of you know, is a sidechain, is a scaling solution for Ethereum that cannot be considered a full layer 2 because it's a sidechain, and it needs to evolve in order to meet what the market is asking, but also to scale, because a sidechain cannot scale. In order to scale, Polygon 2.0, something that actually started a couple of years ago, deciding to take the ZK EVM route, Polygon decided to evolve you becoming a layer 2, a full layer 2, based on ZK rollups. You can scale Ethereum in two ways right now. If you want to become, if you want to stay inside the, well, the Ethereum framework, the Ethereum stack. Becoming a layer 2, it means that you can use ZK proof, or you can use optimistic proof, well, fraud proof. We are talking about two very different ways to scale Ethereum, but at the end, this is not the topic of today. Polygon decided to go on with the ZK-VM. Right now, Polygon has two different chains. Well, mainnet, I mean. One is the proof of stake chain, is a side chain that is going to evolve right now in a Validium ZK-VM chain. Validium means that everything that will be on the data availability side won't be on chain, will be off chain, but with ZK proof. While ZK-VM is an actual layer 2. Beside it, Polygon just released the CDK. CDK is the chain development kit that allows everyone to launch their own layer 2 on top of Ethereum using the Polygon stack. Every single chain that will be launched with the Polygon stack will be part of, will be able to achieve what we call unified liquidity and composability. It means that at the bottom of all the chains, before going to Ethereum, there is a layer, there is a sort of, let's call it a bridge, that is so fast because it is based on ZK proof that at the end can group all the proof that must go on Ethereum, but at the same time is able to respond to the other rollups, to the other layers in a very fast way, in order to give the impression to be in a single chain. It means that all the chains that will be built on top of the Polygon stack will give the experience of being on a single chain. And it means that in this way you achieve unified liquidity. So you're going to launch a new chain on the Polygon stack, you will have the same experience of having liquidity on any other Polygon chains. You don't have to move all the capital, all the funds from one layer to another. You can use the layers that are on the ZK-VM chain. You can use the funds that are on the POS chain, for example. And this is something very important in order to scale. The other major changement will be the new token, the POL token. We need to evolve the POL token for many reasons, but one of them is actually for governance. The Matic token right now is used mostly for, well, to pay gas because it's a side chain, and on the main POS chain you are not paying gas with Ethereum but with Matic. But the second is for the validators, for governance. The governance will be now expanded. Everyone that will hold the POL token will be able to become a validator for all the different chains, with a sort of marketplace for validators and for all the chains that will need to be secured using the POL token. So sorry, I know that I try to do it very fast and to cover maybe some of the things that are kind of difficult to explain in a few minutes. But anyway, this is to say that Polygon is decentralizing more and more, but our aim is not to become a DAO. We tested the DAO. Last year, we built the Polygon DAO. By the end of last year, we decided to close the operations because the will to decentralize was different than building a DAO. Differently than from what Arbitrum is doing, what Optimism is doing, and many others. Is more on the Ethereum way of decentralizing, meaning that we are going to to divide and offer governance on three different matters. The first one is the protocol governance, where people will be able to use the POL token. The second is for validation. The second is to secure the security smart contract governance, where there will be a committee, as I was saying before, because it is very important to have someone that can act very quickly if there is some moment of crisis. And the third one is the one that is more related to the community. It's the community treasury, where there will be another committee, the external committee, that will be decided on how to use the tokens for the growth of the ecosystem. I hope that well, this is where all the slides end. It took more than I expected. Actually, I hope that I gave you an idea on how DAOs and decentralized organization can and should create their governance, and how Polygon is actually doing it. And happy to take any questions or to have some chats about it.
Mark, it was great. It was very, very nice. I have a couple of questions, but first want to know if anyone else is willing to take the floor and ask a question. Oh, okay, Oana, go ahead.
Thanks, Filippo, and many thanks, Marco, for this presentation. It was really insightful. So given the evolving nature of the DAOs, in your experience, what are, let's say, the top 3 challenges that startups or small companies might come across when organizing or transitioning their business on-chain in a DAO-like framework?
I would say, first of all, finding a way to keep and increase the efficiency of what they're doing. This is the main topic, because everyone that will test what they're doing now off-chain, doing it on-chain, but with less efficiency, will cause them to seize it immediately. The second is actually how to empower one of the most important part of Web3, that is composability. Composability means working also with the others in an open and permissionless way, but it also a way on how companies can work with other companies, leveraging their visibility and community. Composability can become a big drive to grow communities, to grow attention, to grow visibility, and at the same time reducing the needs of capital, because you don't need to build from scratch something that already exists. The third one is mostly on the compliance and legal part, because it is very important for organization not to just have a legal and compliant framework inside their country, but given the fact that they will work everywhere in the world, or at least in the main countries, to know how to face the problems that can come from, I don't know, employing or working with people that are in countries that maybe are difficult to have exchanges with, and so on.
Thank you very much. Well noted. I think they're really good points.
Is a short question before we end this very nice seminar. So I really like the distinction that you made in value creation and efficiency, and I agree that an organization must be efficient in order to exist, because otherwise it loses purpose. You linked value creation to the base price of the token. Are there other ways of considering that, and is a community value in itself, or must it translate into something more tangible, more economical?
I think that actually fungible tokens are one of the worst way to build a DAO on top of, because at the end, it really depends on how you use the fungible tokens. If you're using them as shares in a regulated or kind of regulated way, then it makes sense. But if you use the tokens just to increase the visibility of what you're doing or to acquire value from external, maybe because of speculation and so on, you're just not focusing on your real use case. And then your real use case becomes just speculation. If your real use case is speculation, this is not even an organization that we should care for at the end. I am doing a big effort right now with some analytics team to be able to have new dashboard that can show how the main decentralized organization are using their treasury, are investing their tokens and so on, but also on how everything that I just said is related to the governance. Because we could see it with an attack that was tried on Aragon a few months ago, when there were some people that tried to buy all the tokens the majority of the tokens from Aragon to be able to decide on the governance side, because the value of the token were far lower than the amount that was in the treasury. So the point is, if you are going to use capitals inside your organization, and you think that it's a good way to express governance is based on fungible tokens, well, you must first of all understand the value of your company, and then the fungible token should reflect the treasury. Else, you will be attacked, and this is a big thing to think about. And if you are spending so much time to defend yourself, you won't be able to build. That's why I don't think that building right now a DAO based on fungible token is a good idea. A DAO should be built on reputation, on identities, on skills, and so on. The value should be something that is created by the organization, not just acquired externally because there is someone that is speculating on it. At least this is my idea.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for the answer. We have a question from Robin. Robin, do you want to ask the question yourself? Otherwise, I can read it out. Okay. Then go ahead.
Well, anyway, I can answer to the question.
Yes.
The question is, how can DAO interest can be fully aligned with investors who favor short-term and major stakeholder in the economics? Well, this is one of the cases that I was talking about. We ask people to invest in our company, and we think that they should expect something different from what is happening on off-chain. So the alignment of an investor should be there because they are actually investing inside the company itself, the organization itself. If there is a misalignment, usually the investor will just sell their tokens. The fact is that most of the time, on-chain, with DAOs, you have a problem with liquidity. And so it could be very difficult to sell your share. But this is something that happens also with many early stage startups. It's difficult to sell your position if they are not big enough and there is no liquidity in the market. So the fact is that, first of all, I think that a DAO, any kind of decentralized organization, before acquiring big capital, should start with the angel investors. Angel investors are the one that at the end will help the growth of a decentralized organization, any kind of it, and will drive, will be aligned to the interest of the organization itself, and they will be able to attract capitals that are aligned to it. And then everything, well, kind of related to what any company should do, follow their roadmap, making it very clear, transparent, and with accountability. If someone is doing wrong, should pay for it, outside the blockchain as well as inside the blockchain. We should not treat the centralized organization in a different way than not on-chain organization. The fact is that we should see what being on the blockchain could unlock for them in terms of value creation, in terms of market that they can focus on reducing the cost, reducing the opportunity cost, and also trying to work better in a composable way, reducing their operation cost, involving more people out in their community, any kind of community it is, but everything on how a company should be built and run should stay the same. The good practices should not be abandoned. Hope it makes sense, of course.
It does. Definitely agree with that. So we ran 5 minutes late, but I think it was definitely worth it. And I think it's time to thank you, Marco, for such a wonderful presentation and for your time. I definitely enjoyed our discussion, and I hope that we will have you again in the future at some point.
Anytime.
And so thank you very much, and thank you to everyone that joined.
Thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoyed, and see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.